This island holds more power than most countries. Taiwan was sold to the world as a technical dispute, but nothing this influential stays technical. Every time headlines mention Taiwan, markets twitch, currencies react, and shipping costs adjust. This isn't about history books, it's about prices at checkout and stability at work. The Taiwan dispute sits at the intersection of sovereignty, power, and global dependence, and most people still underestimate how personal the fallout could be. Surface-level stories frame the Taiwan versus China conflict as ancient or ideological, but that framing misses the real mechanics underneath. Think of it like stress fractures in concrete, quiet at first, then sudden collapse. Taiwan history, US and China relations, and the One China policy overlap in fragile ways. Ignore those layers, and the risk looks abstract until it isn't. By the end, you'll understand why Taiwan's sovereignty shapes markets, security, and war risk. You'll see how Taiwan geopolitical tension connects to jobs, inflation, and supply chains. This isn't about picking sides, it's about understanding leverage and consequences. Because the Taiwan independence debate isn't theoretical anymore. Stay until the end, because the final question might flip how you see global power entirely. Chapter 1. Taiwan before China's claim. Most people assume Taiwan's story starts with China, but that's the first trap in the Taiwan dispute. Long before Beijing talked about sovereignty, Taiwan was already living a different life. Indigenous Austronesian peoples were there centuries before any Chinese state showed up. So here's the uncomfortable question. How do you reclaim something you barely governed? That contradiction sits at the heart of the Taiwan history debate today. In the 1600s, Taiwan wasn't run from Beijing. It was run by Europeans, like the Dutch East India Company and briefly Spain. Later, the Qing dynasty treated Taiwan as distant, risky, and low priority. Administration was weak, maps were vague, and control barely reached the interior. Think of it like owning land you never visit, never develop, and barely secure. That loose grip matters now because modern sovereignty claims depend on historical control. This early separation is why Taiwan's sovereignty arguments don't sound fringe to many locals. If governance shapes identity, Taiwan grew up outside China's political bloodstream. That's why today's Taiwan independence debate feels personal, not theoretical. It affects security, war risk, and even global markets reacting to Taiwan geopolitical tension. But this fragile historical gap becomes dangerous once modern China decides distance no longer counts. Chapter 2. War, Empire, and the Birth of Two Chinas. The Taiwan versus China conflict didn't start with communism. It started with a war that never really ended. In 1895, Taiwan wasn't lost by China to rebels, but handed to Japan after defeat. For 50 years, Taiwan grew up under a different flag, language, and legal system. So when World War II ended, the handover wasn't a reunion, it was a shock. That moment quietly set the stage for today's sovereignty fight. After Japan's surrender in 1945, Taiwan was placed under the Republic of China, led by Chiang Kai-shek. Then the Chinese Civil War exploded, ending with Mao founding the People's Republic of China. Defeated, Chiang's government retreated to Taiwan and continued as the Republic of China. Think of it like two CEOs claiming the same company after a violent boardroom coup. That unresolved split still rattles markets, US and China relations, and regional security. Both governments claim to be the real China, freezing the Taiwan dispute in place. No peace treaty, no surrender, just silence backed by weapons. This ambiguity shaped the One China policy and still fuels war risk today.
It affects defense budgets, shipping insurance, and investor confidence across Asia. But a frozen civil war becomes explosive when one side grows far stronger than the other. Chapter 3. Taiwan's transformation into a de facto state. Taiwan didn't plan to become separate. It evolved into it under pressure. After retreating to the island, the government ruled as if it was temporary. Martial law locked politics down for decades, justified by the Taiwan versus China conflict. But here's the twist. Control created stability, and stability created momentum. That's when Taiwan started changing in ways Beijing didn't expect. Under the Kuomintang, Taiwan industrialized fast and cracked down hard. Martial law lasted until 1987, one of the longest in modern history. Then reforms opened elections, media, and opposition parties almost overnight. Think of it like a startup run by strict founders that suddenly goes public. The result was growth, tech jobs, rising wages, and global supply chain relevance. Today, Taiwan governs borders, currency, courts, and elections, everything that defines sovereignty. It just avoids declaring it, like living independently but never changing your mailing address. That ambiguity protects trade, markets, and relative political stability. It also fuels the Taiwan independence debate and keeps war risk constantly priced in. But acting independent without declaring it only works until someone forces the issue. Chapter 4. China's sovereignty claim explained. From Beijing's view, Taiwan isn't a neighbor, it's unfinished business. This isn't just about maps or pride, it's about political survival. The Chinese leadership frames Taiwan's sovereignty as non-negotiable, full stop. So why would China risk war, sanctions, and isolation over one island? Because for the regime, backing down could be more dangerous than escalation. Beijing's claim rests on the one China principle enforced by the Chinese Communist Party. It argues there is only one China, and Taiwan is part of it, no exceptions. That stance fuels military drills, airspace incursions, and diplomatic pressure worldwide. Think of it like a company whose brand collapses if one division walks away. That rigidity shapes U.S. and China relations, defense budgets, and global market volatility. But for Beijing, Taiwan isn't just territory, it's legitimacy, nationalism, and control. Losing the Taiwan sovereignty argument could crack the party's authority at home. That's why pressure keeps rising, even when it hurts China's economy. Shipping insurance, energy routes, and regional trade already price in Taiwan geopolitical tension. But when sovereignty becomes a red line, even small moves can trigger big reactions.
Chapter 5. Why Taiwan challenges China's claim today. The Taiwan dispute isn't frozen in history, it's accelerating in real time. Public opinion on the island has shifted away from Chinese identity. Younger generations see Taiwan as home, not a chapter of someone else's story. That shift quietly undermines China's sovereignty narrative, and it makes every election feel like a geopolitical stress test. Most countries stay ambiguous, balancing trade with security under the One China policy. The U.S. supports Taiwan militarily without formal recognition, shaping U.S. and China relations. Meanwhile, Taiwan dominates advanced semiconductors through firms like TSMC. Think of it like one factory holding the master key to the global tech economy. Disruption would spike prices, crush industries, and ripple through jobs worldwide. This is why Taiwan's sovereignty matters far beyond Asia. A conflict would hit inflation, energy flows, and market stability overnight. Investors already hedge against war risk through defense and semiconductor supply chains. For viewers, it affects pensions, electronics prices, and political stability at home. But as leverage grows, so does the danger of miscalculation. The Taiwan dispute isn't a background story, it's active, moving, and unresolved. Understanding Taiwan history helps decode why headlines keep returning to sovereignty and war risk. This isn't just geopolitics for experts, it's signal reading for everyday decisions. From inflation to tech availability, Taiwan versus China conflict already shapes outcomes. Ignoring it means reacting late instead of thinking ahead. Outcomes aren't locked in, even when tensions rise. Better understanding leads to better judgment about news, investments, and policy debates. Following US and China relations, supply chains, and energy routes builds real awareness. Reading broadly and questioning simple narratives is a strategic advantage now. Geopolitics rewards those who prepare before pressure turns into a crisis. Do you think the One China policy can hold much longer? Is Taiwan's sovereignty more about history or about future power? What would a disruption really mean for your country or job? Drop your thoughts below and let's unpack this together. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep learning how geopolitics, economics, and power shape your everyday life.